Hey, friends. You're tuned into Honestly Friends Pod with Day and Lee, where we talk about life, love, friendships, and the culture. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Dina, what's going on?
I'm good. I am so good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm awesome. I'm excited for this topic because I'm going to throw some nuance to it. Get ready.
Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Not ready. Okay. Well, the topic at hand today on this episode is having or not having a homogenous friend group. And this came up like on my radar because I saw, I don't know, a topic a few weeks ago, like on Twitter, where someone mentioned that like if you have friends that are not really in the same place as you in life, it can be really difficult. And it created like a bit of a conversation. I saw a bunch of people like commenting, retweeting, quote tweeting like their viewpoint. And though I did disagree with the original poster, I think she was the original poster. She was at least the person that said that portion of it. I also somewhat agree with her, but I'll explain further. Um,
Okay.
so
I'm
I
listening.
do I do agree in the sense that it can be difficult when you're at one stage in your life and your friend or friends are not at the same stage. It becomes harder to navigate. And when I talk about stages of life, it could be maybe that you're, I don't know, in some type of career, especially a career where you're like really making like a lot of money and maybe your friends are not. It could also be that, I don't know, like you're in a more committed, serious relationship, maybe engaged, maybe married, and some of your friends are not. It could even be that you've started a family, so you have a child or two, and your closest friends or some of your friends are not. And then it makes it hard to kind of navigate the friendship after that point because your life is heading in one direction while theirs is not. So I understood where she was coming from, where she said that, but I did ultimately disagree with it because I feel like as people, everybody's life ebbs and flows. Like we have our up cycles, we have our down cycles, and we don't all have the same path either. And I just feel like I would not ever like not be friends with someone who I think is like really important to me, like a really close friend, a best friend, even just because I don't know, I'm making XYZ amount of money and you're making, let's say I'm making six figures. I'm making 150, 200,000 plus, maybe even millions, whatever the case may be. And you're, I don't know, let's say you're a teacher and you're making what do they make? Like 60,000 or something like that. Like I would not ever not be friends with someone who's my friend for that reason. Like that's crazy to me. Like, yeah, we may not have the same lifestyle things, but there's ways to navigate that. What do you think? Yeah, I see you throwing up gang signs over there. Gang, gang.
Girl, because I just thought about it. Like, technically, I'm not on your level anymore. For real.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
So, what's tea? Like, you're not going to be my friend anymore?
No, I'm not.
So, this is why I feel the way I feel. And the way I feel is you keep all your friends. As many as you can. There are going to be some who are not in your level either before, like above you or under you. Not everybody's going to be able to make this road on life with you. And those are for specific reasons. But I think it's important to keep both of them because you never know where you're going to be. I also feel like your position can switch in the blink of
Quick,
an eye.
real quick.
And so how dare you say that because someone is below you, you're going to get rid of them? I think there has to be
Above and
honesty.
below in quotes too,
Yeah,
because
I think there has
that's
to be
important.
honesty. I think now what I think needs to happen is if I have a friend who's richer than me, I'm like, girl, you got more money than me, like, or you have like fancier friends than me. I think that needs to happen in jest. Maybe you start so we can get to like if we need to talk about it seriously. Like I can't go everywhere you go. I cannot keep up with you, and that's fine. But there's a way that you and I can still figure out how to be in each other's lives if we want to be in each other's lives. Same thing for like if I have a friend who has less money than me, or less education than me, or something that is less than what I have. That does not mean I cannot relate to you in other ways. But we have to be honest. And like, girl, it's just like, to be honest, you have less than me. I don't feel any type of way about it, but it is true. And I need my friend to be like, you know what, you're right. Just like I just said that 2 minutes ago. I am the friend now that I am technically less than you. As far as like financially, right? I don't wait like super down, but that's okay. For me, it has to be okay with my friends too. And all my friends know about it. So, I mean, I'll find out. But I think like none of y'all care. Y'all really don't, which is awesome.
It's your life
but I think that's because I'm not pretentious. When I supposedly had it, I wasn't like, oh, I have this. Like, I was never like that. Because I don't like people who are like that. I am not an elitist at all. I abhor elitists. So, like, I believe in being the best that I can be, but looking down on people, the quickest way for me to be turned off. Because none of us have a heaven or a hell to put anybody in. So it's really weird to me when people act like that. So, but there's an influencer that I admire a lot. She also is well-to-do at this point in her life, but her claim to social media fame is that she was really bad with her money and she changed it, and now she's a boss bee with her money. She recently did a post and she said, unfortunately though, so the person who has less than you, you're probably gonna have to let them go. And I just disagree with her, but it's okay. We can disagree. I still adore her, but I'm not letting go of them just for that. It had to be something else. Cause I have no problem letting people go, but it would have to be, it's not because of our statuses. Like, because you can embarrass me rich or poor. Because if that elitist stuff is embarrassing to me, and if you have no class, that's embarrassing to me too. So
I think what can happen when you and your friend are not on the same page, no matter what it is, whether it's the money, whether it's the relationship, whether it's the kids, family, whatever, is that the person that has quote unquote more or something else, it's almost like they forget what it was like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, whenever before all of this other things happened. Right. And it's just like, it's important to remember that like you were once the friend that didn't have as much money, or you were once the person that wasn't married, or you were once the person that didn't have a child. And what did you do when you ain't have all of those things? When you didn't have the money, you went out to your favorite pizza spot with your friend, or wherever. You can still go to those places. It's about making space for people. Like, yeah, your life can be changing and all kinds of stuff, but you can still say like, girl, let's go to that pizza joint. Like, is that thing still open? We got to go. That way your friend who doesn't have as much money doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with you. They don't have to keep up with you. You can still make space for the things you used to do with them still. Like, I think a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, I'm above that. I'm above doing that. No, you can still go to that little $5 taco joint on Taco Tuesday. Like, what's stopping you from doing that? Like, yeah. And you know me, I'm very big on having friends or making friends or branching out. I think it's important to have friends. Like, let's say it's money. I think it's important to have friends that have that money or whatever, so you can do those things too that come with having money, right? Like, you don't feel like you have to, I don't want to say dumb down because it's not really dumb down, but you don't have to like restrict yourself because one of your friends can't afford it. Like, no, make friends that can't afford it. You do certain things with them, but make space for the friend that was there before you had those things, and do those things that you did with that friend before that. Like, I can't imagine that your taste buds have changed so drastically you cannot go to Fridays no more. Like, please, be for real. Like, you can manage to go to Fridays every 3 months. Like, you can manage to do that. Or
because it's a reflection of your heart. Because it was like, if you can say that you're not down to do those things anymore, maybe most of the things that you used to do, because some things you just like, I'm not willing to do that, but there still should be things that you can relate to with your friends like you did before. If you cut all of that out, that's a reflection of your heart, and you despise doing it, and you always had that bad intention. And
Mhm.
then that's a character thing, so that'll excommunicate you from my friendship circle anyway, because it's like,
Right.
girl, who do you, again, you have no heaven or hell to put anybody in. And
Right.
within a blink of an eye, it can be
Your
gone, and people don't
situation
be
can change.
understanding that. People do not be understanding that. And that's why, like, just pretentiousness and just treating people terribly, I do not understand that.
I don't
And the
get
same
it.
influencer that that I was talking about, her name is Chelsea Fagan. She's from the Financial Diet. Shout out to her. She also said something that I never thought about that I agree with, and it piggybacks of what you just said about making space for people. She said, in the event, because she's the more well-to-do person, if she wants to do something with a friend that doesn't have as much money, but she wants to share that experience with that friend, she said, it is the person who has the most money, who has more money. It is a person who has more money. It is their responsibility to bridge the gap for that
Mhm.
particular thing. Like, so if you know your friend doesn't have that money, but you want them to do that, it is your responsibility. You have to bridge the gap. And
Mhm. My
and you
treat.
can't resent them for that. And you don't have to do it all the time, but if it's something that you want to, it's like, for right now, let's say you want to go on a trip, and I'm like, well, girl, my trip budget is this, and what you would need is more, double. It would be on you to have to do it, because I'm like, if you want me to go, we
Mhm.
gotta bring the budget down. If you're not, then we gotta go somewhere else. But he's like, I really want to go to Morocco though, at least. I'm like, okay, well then you gotta
and
up it up.
I was gonna say, like, you have said specifically,
Mm.
that you want to go to Japan, right? And I've told you, I'm like, I
Oh
have you
yeah.
locked into that. Now, if you change your mind, I'll be a little
I
sad. But
still
if
want
you
to
change your
go.
mind, at least about going
Yeah.
with me,
Did you
like,
say?
I'm gonna be sad if you change your man. If
Oh
you change
man.
your mind about going with me, then
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be sad. However,
Mm-hmm.
life goes on or whatever. But I have locked you into that. So I think that's another thing too. Like, let's say you're on the up, you have money, you can go on 3 to 4 vacations a year, and like your close friend that you've been friends with for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, they don't have that. You can lock them into Japan. You can lock them into Morocco. Just know that it's not gonna be this year. Say, hey, next year I want us to go here. Let's come up with a budget. What can you do, because I want us to lock this in? Like, make sure you request it from your, time off from your job or whatever, while simultaneously, if you have other friends that do have money to go on trips, you can go on, your other trips with your friends. You can say Morocco, Japan, whatever is off limits, because I'm going with, if it's me and you, I'm going with
Yeah.
me next year to Japan. And this year,
And we're
though,
going to Morocco the year after. Like,
and
that's
we're
that.
going right. So what does that mean? Okay, I want to go to Canada. I don't know, but for what? I want to go to Canada with somebody. I'm gonna go with my cousin. I want to go
Mhm.
to Ireland. I'm gonna go there with my cousin. But
Right.
if she says Japan, it's like, no, Japan. I can't do Japan because I'm doing Japan with Lee. That's what
Or
it is.
or you're gonna be like, all right, well, that's Lee's trip. Let me ask us. You could go.
If you can go, but one thing about it is, I'm not going
Thank
without her.
you.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go
I'm not
without
doing
her.
that.
and
Nah,
it's
facts.
And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
these are ways to essentially, even if you and your friend financially may not be on the same path, you hold that space for them. You let them know, like, you're still important, you're still special. Like, yeah, I might be turning up and going on trips and doing all kinds of stuff, but I'm still going to make space for you. We just have to think time in advance, a year in advance, 2 years in advance. And I'll still do my other stuff in the meantime, but I'm gonna lock you into this. And I think with the same token, I think what also happens, and I think this happens more often than not, especially with women, female friendships, is that once someone is in a more committed relationship, in a more serious relationship, maybe marriage, that also changes the dynamic, because it's like either that person wants to talk about marriage life or their significant other, or like they feel like they can't connect because, like, okay, you're single, you want to go out, like, we can still go out, like, it could just be a no man zone. Like, I can respect the fact that you're in a relationship, so we're not going to go to a club, but we can still go out to dinner. Like, why we can't go out to dinner? Because you in a relationship, or you in a marriage and I'm single? Like, what even is that? Like, still hold space for your friends. Like, you may not be doing the same
Or
thing. So
traveling.
or traveling. Still hold
Mm-hmm.
space for that friend. Like it shouldn't be a thing where it's like, okay, now that I'm married, now that I'm in a relationship, I don't do certain things anymore. Because then what do we do? What do we do? If you can't hang out, you can't sit and talk, you can't
Right.
go on a girls trip, you can't do anything. No, you
Yeah,
need to have
that's
space.
but that goes into one of our prior episodes where it's like when you're in a relationship, you have to still do the things that you did before. There can be adjustments to make your significant other feel comfortable. Compromise, because that's what that is. But like then
Mhm.
you have to compromise on your friend's side. Like, girl, I can't do everything that I used to do. And your friend, if she's or he is a true friend, they'll understand. And again, they will compromise as well so
Right.
that you can respect your relationship, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think, and it's across the multitude of whatever like is going on with life, because to that point, like if someone, and I've seen this, like I this was months ago, maybe a year ago on TikTok, and it was such a
Hmm.
young girl. I was super confused, like young, like
Hmm.
21 young. And she was
Right.
like, I'm in a relationship now and I don't have any desire to hang out with any of my friends. Like she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I just like hanging out with my man. I have no desire to hang out with my friends. And it's just like,
She never
girl,
liked her friends. She don't like
they
friends.
they were placeholders. They were
Yeah.
like placeholders for her.
She was always hoping that she would have a boyfriend. She just wants to
Got
be a
to be,
girlfriend. That's what it was.
got to be. Because I'm
And
like,
some
I
people
can't
are like that.
imagine.
And maybe there are some men that are like that. Like they don't like guy friends. They just want to be up under like a significant other, and that's fine. But just keep that energy throughout your whole life. Because
Right.
if those relationships do not work,
They don't pan out.
it
Like you can't come,
it's
hey
not
girl,
easy to
oh girl.
make friends. And so the ones you threw away, I hate it for you.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
it's just like, no, make space for your friends. Like, yes, you're not going to be able to do certain things. Like maybe it's you're not going to go out clubbing all night, right? Like you want to be respectful of your relationship. Got it. Period.
Yeah.
But you literally can still go to a festival with your friends. You can go to a concert with your friends. You can do a book club with your friends. You can go out to
Hmm.
eat. You can start a dining club with your friends and be like, hey, girl, every once a month, we out to someplace new. We going to try a new experience. Let's go painting. Let's go hiking. Let's do things. When you just sit there
Hmm.
and like, oh, well, I'm in a relationship and I don't know how to relate to anyone. Like, how were you relating before this? Like, did you not have a life or personality before any of this other stuff?
Exactly. Exactly. So let me ask you though. So are you saying that your friends group should be homogenous or not?
I'm saying
Where do
that
you
it doesn't
stand?
have to be. I feel like it doesn't have to be. I think life ebbs and flows. To your point, like,
Hmm.
what if your relationship doesn't hang out? If you feel like your friend group should be homogenous, and let's say it's around relationships, so you feel like you should only really have friendships with other we're women, so with other married women. What
Hmm.
happens if you and your husband get a divorce? Should those women then kick you out the group because they don't want divorced women in their group? You wouldn't
That's
want
terrible.
that. So
No,
why
you
would you kick
wouldn't.
your friend to the curb because you're married and let's say your friend is single?
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
exactly. No. Okay. Because I was thinking, I don't think it should be homogenous. It could be somewhat but it can be somewhat homogenous, but it can't, for me, I don't think it will ever be 100% homogenous. And that's funny that when we were talking about, as we're talking about it right now, I thought about my granny's advice when I was little. And she always said, you need to have a friend that has less than you and more than you.
You did.
That just came up to me. She probably told me that when I was 5, but I agree with her. There's some wisdom in that. Shout out to Granny. But yeah.
This is what I think. I think definitely don't let your friends go. What I do think is that you should make new friends or new associates.
Mhm.
If they're not going to be,
Mhm.
they don't have to be best friends or nothing. You don't got to replace your friends. But let's say
Yeah.
it's, like I mentioned, let's say it was money, like you came up with, in your career. You should definitely have friends that are number one in your career field because you guys can like piggyback off of each other or whatever. You should maybe have friends that are within that same economic class for sure, but that doesn't mean you throw your friend to the curb. If it's like relationship wise, like you're married now, you should 1000% have other married friends, because your single friends or divorced friends may not be able to provide um the conversation, the advice, the whatever that
The
a
understanding, the
the
relatability,
understand.
because I'm sure when you're married, there's some things like, "Ooh, I'm going through
I
it."
never thought this was gonna ever come up, and now it is, and I don't know what to do. Yeah, you should definitely
Yeah,
have other
and
married friends.
let's say you're married and you're going through with your husband, or maybe you're not even going through. You're just like you're having a good time, and because of whatever it is, it's something that you have only through the bond of marriage. You can call me and tell me about it, but I'm not gonna understand. I'm like, oh, my husband is so wonderful, and I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I can't be like, girl, I know how you feel, because ain't nothing like
Right.
having a good husband. I can't. I'm like, I'm not married yet. I don't have one.
Right.
Or versus like if y'all are going through a rough patch in y'all marriage, and you call your single friend, then I'm like, I'm gonna for you
I don't know what to
I
do.
mean, I want y'all to work it out, because a good friend would tell you that y'all are married now. Work it out. But if we were both married, like, I understand. Lord have mercy, this whole marriage thing. Like, you know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying?
True. So I think you should definitely have friends like that. Like one of my best friends is a mom, and I have
Mm-hmm.
always been around kids, and I love kids down. Um and I feel like I might be able to provide some form of like, yeah, girl, do this and do that. Like I did do that when her baby was really young, because my
Mm-hmm.
mom like has nannied. She's excellent with kids. Like she's the baby whisperer. So like, and
Mm-hmm.
I share that same type of like love for children that my mom has. So
Right.
I was able to provide certain things, but it's like I'm not a mom. Like I don't know what it really fully feels like to not sleep the whole night through. I don't know what I feel like, baby, because I sleep. I don't know how certain things feel. So I always
Yeah.
encourage her. I'm like, girl, you need to get out and get some mom friends. Like,
Mm.
don't kick me to the curb. I always tell my friends that. Don't kick me to the curb, but you do need to get out and get some mom friends. Like, have
Mhm.
other people that can actually relate to what you're going through, because I can't provide a full scope of anything, because though I love children and I may have certain insights because of the career that my mom has, I'm not a mom. And so I cannot help all the way and I can't relate all the way.
Yeah. Like, I'm an entrepreneur now. I need some entrepreneur friends, because it's like
Right.
things to bounce people off of. This is what I want to do. Have you done it? Blase swaze. Yeah. You just need different
Yeah.
things. So it can't be 100% homogenous, because you're going to have friends for different areas of reprieve that you will need. But some of them are going to be the same old friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine
And
too.
and I think it's just all about making space and time. Like just being conscious, I think,
Making space.
like being conscious, like, okay, if it's a situation where like you have the job and whatever, don't spend a
Mhm.
whole conversation talking about the job. And if it's about, if you have like a child now, don't spend your whole time talking about like your child. Like your friend can love your kid down, but it's like, do they
Mhm.
want to spend every conversation that they have with you talking about parenting? Because to be
Mhm.
honest, I feel like other parents don't be wanting to spend the whole time talking about parenting. They probably want a reprieve themselves. They want to like break away from that and not even think about being a parent for a moment. So like you have to be cognizant of the fact that like we can't just talk about you being a mom the whole time. And I would say I'm
Yeah.
really grateful for my friend because she doesn't do that. Like I'm always asking about my niece, like, where my baby
Mhm.
at? But she be talking about all kinds of other stuff, like, girl, let me tell you about this and this and this and this. And
Mhm.
it makes it easy because I'm like, it's not that awkward, like, well, we've been talking about your baby for 30 minutes. We've been talking about poop for 30 minutes. And when are we going to get off this topic? You know what I mean? Like she still has
Yeah.
a life outside of being a mom. She, had a life outside of just being a wife. Like we would just talk like how we used to talk when we were in college. Like obviously some of the conversations change, of course, but we had a myriad of topics that we can talk about, and it didn't just revolve around. Well, I can't talk tonight. It didn't just revolve around her being a mom, her being a wife, her being in a career or anything like that. It was just okay, this is what's going on with me. Now what's going on with you? And I think that's important
Exactly.
too, because sometimes people be caught up in them. And it's like, I can be happy for you, but your happy moment is not mine. Like, we got to shift the conversation back so that we're ping ponging actually back and forth between each other about our
Right.
life.
Got nothing for you. That was perfect. I agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so
So I hope my
yeah.
friends aren't just like, I mean, do y'all, you just go agree with her? And I'm like, sometimes I am like, like if you right, you right. If I agree with you, I agree with you. There's nothing
Yeah.
else that needs to be said. So yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah. So tell us what you guys think, and tell us if you guys have been in this place, like, because like I said, hardly ever are we all in the same space at the same time. So how
Right.
has it been for anyone that's maybe elevated in their career, or maybe gotten married, and it's like you're kind of the only one that's in your space, or maybe have a child and your other friends are not there yet? How has that been for you? And there's other things, like those were the three that really came up because I think those were the big ones, but there's other things that like can happen where like you feel like you're in a different space than your friends. But I would genuinely love to know, like, how has it been, like, in anybody's experience where it's been a bit of a friction point between you and a friend because of where your life stands, and how have you overcome it? And have you overcome it? Did you distance yourself? Are you no longer friends, or did you find a way to make your friendship work? I genuinely would like to know. Hit us
See,
up. Hit us up on Honestly Friends Pod. On YouTube is Honestly Friends Podcast on YouTube, and on Instagram is Honestly Friends Pod. Hit us up and let us know. Later,
we'll see y'all
friends.
next week.
We'll see you
Later,
next
friends.
week.